Hey everybody, Nate Carter here with today's Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope that you are joining us in our New Testament reading plan. We're going to read through the New Testament throughout the course of 2022. It's just a few minutes of reading a day, and it'll change your life. If you haven't signed up for the reading plan yet, there's a link here in the description. You can get started right now. You'll be able to catch yourself up in just about a half an hour, and then you'll be on track. So it's not too late to join us. Today, we are in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and I'm going to begin by saying I sure wish that Pastor Andy had chosen the straw for today's devotional instead of me, because about a year ago, Pastor Andy preached through Matthew 5 and did an incredible in-depth study over many weeks of this passage. So what you're getting from me is going to be Cliff's Notes at best. But with that in mind, still, I just think that there are some gems that we can focus on here. In fact, what I'm going to bring you today is a bit from the notes that I took from one of the messages that Pastor Andy preached from that series. So Matthew 5 is where we're reading today. I'm just going to read you the first couple verses. I encourage you to read the rest in your reading plan for today. One day, as he saw the crowds gathering, Jesus went up on the mountainside and sat down. Now, the first thing we see here is the word to sit down. That would have had, major significance to the New Testament readers of Jesus' time, because to sit down was a posture of authority. So Jesus is sitting down and saying, "Listen to me. I have authority to speak to you." Also notice that he's up on the mountainside now. And that's the same place that Moses received his commandments from God, from a mountainside as well. So a commonality of receiving teaching from the mountain is significant. And obviously now Jesus is starting to turn things around from the way that his hearers would have understood it. Continuing, his disciples gathered around him and he began to teach them. God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him. And I'm going to just stop there. That's all we're going to focus on here today. But when we talk about that word poor, it's not monetarily poor, but it's the idea of being poor in spirit. And this is the idea of spiritual bankruptcy rather than financial bankruptcy. What Jesus is saying is that there is nothing that I can do that qualifies me for God's favor. Okay? There's nothing that we bring to the table. We are spiritually bankrupt. We are poor. We are completely in need of someone else's intervention. It's a recognition of my limitations, that I have nothing to offer. John 15:5, Jesus says, "Apart from me, you can do" what? Nothing. So this would have been a revolutionary change of thinking for the people listening to Jesus, because when Moses brought the law in the Old Testament, this was a list of commands from God. This was the first covenant with his people, saying, in order for this covenant to exist, I'm going to require you to follow this very specific rule of law. And Jesus is now sitting down on the mountainside and saying, I'm bringing you a new way of thinking, a new covenant with me, which is you bring nothing. There is nothing you can do. You are poor in spirit. You are bankrupt. So gone are the days where you think that you can bring your willpower, that what you do by following these laws is going to be able to curry favor with me, because what the Old Testament proved was you can't. But I'm going to be bringing you something much, much better. But first you must recognize that you bring nothing to the table. So friends, although this may look like bad news or something not to look forward to, being poor in spirit, I want to encourage you today that that's exactly the best place, the best posture that we can find ourselves in as we come to Jesus. That we just acknowledge we bring nothing to the table because Jesus is going to bring everything to the table for us. But until we acknowledge that, we're hopeless because only He can do. Only Jesus can do the good work of reconciling us to God. So my fellow impoverished friends, be encouraged today because Jesus fills our bank account. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.